Okay. There it is, right? Switching back over. So, okay, let's break it down a little bit then. So we got Chiori. Most people are looking to her skip. Most people look like they're going to skip her, which is a shame. I mean, if she's only useful for not only Geo, but Geo that only is doing constructs, which means that Navi is not going to get the most out of her kit, is mental. Because everyone was like, oh, Chiori's going to play well with Navia. The Chronicle banner, like I said, I was reading the rules earlier. I'm half and half. It's nice to be able to get access to characters more often. It's nice to be able to get access to weapons that are no longer available because, say, like Dia's signature weapon, you know, that kind of thing that just never get run anymore because they're on the standard banner. That works nicely. The fate point system is tight. It's not cool, dude. Wiping the fate point every single patch is just rough. The fact that it's on its own separate pity is a little spicy. And then, I mean, the nice part is that you get to choose between weapons and characters. So if you're after, you know, certain thing, you've got, I guess, more of a chance of getting it than, you know, it's a little bit of an upgrade from the weapon banner. Slightly. And, you know, like I say, we're going to be able to get reruns on more characters, which will be nice. But having more reruns on characters only works if it's like a dead, sort of, I said dead patch. If it's like a dead patch like this, where there's no characters that you really want to pull for in the first half, you might instead go for the Chronicle banner and try and snipe some of the old characters that maybe you missed in days gone past. But in the second half, we have Nouvelle and Kazuha, which literally everybody and their dog is going to be pulling on. You know, saving up their wishes for, pulling for. So in that case, you know, nobody's going to be pulling on this Chronicle banner if they're trying to snipe maybe like myself, a C2 Kazuha. Nobody's going to be pulling on it if they're trying to snipe C1 Nouvelle because they want that interruption resistance. Because it is a pain in the ass playing C0 Nouvelle versus C1. So, yeah, I think that's going to be... I don't think that Chronicle banner is going to perform as well as they think it will, especially in the second half. Like, for the people who are quite happy, say if I had, you know, if I had my C2 Kazuha already, I already had my C2... It's kind of a veteran play, isn't it? It's kind of for veteran players in the sense that if you don't care about, say, Chiori, you've already got your C2 Kazuha and maybe your C1, C2 Nouvelle, you know, whatever, that you can just maybe look at bagging some older characters which you didn't catch because either you didn't start playing as soon, you know, early enough. I started in 1.6. Or, you know, just all the characters that you were asked about before that maybe you just want to add to the collection because you want every 5-star, at least one copy of every 5-star. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take on that. The events look fine, I guess. They're sort of... I call them filler events. You know, they're just sort of tongue-in-cheek, silly, you know, that kind of... yeah, just filler events. It was literally just, here's the new banner. Yeah, it really was just, here's the new banner. Some sort of mid-events that there weren't very many of. I'm surprised they didn't announce a ley line overflow, actually, just to tide them over for the back end of the patch, which is what they usually do. If they announce a ley line overflow, you know that... Did they? No image for it. Oh, okay. Wait, so there will be a ley line overflow. Yeah, ley line overflow is the shining point where you go, yep, this patch is dead as a downhill. And they just need to tide us over, get us through to 4.6, which is going to be where they add the spice back in. I've heard that there's going to be a bunch of stuff popping off in 4.6, so we can get excited for that, I guess. So, yeah, a slow patch. You know, it is what it is. Fair enough. I say they can't all be bangers, but they literally could have done a Vinelisa Fest, a Windbloom Festival. Proper Windbloom Festival would have been nice. You know, they could have really hinged us back on Mondstadt and give us like a nice big chunk of Mondstadt again. Get all the nostalgia from start of the game going again for these, you know, for us veteran players. So yeah, I mean, we just had a big event in Liyue. It's insane that we haven't had a rerun of the Itadori Festival in Inazuma. So I'm still looking forward to a rerun of that at some point, but who knows when that'll be. There's a bunch of things which we've only ever seen once. I don't mind a dead patch as long as they really focus on Natlan development. I mean, I'm sure that they will. I'm sure that Natlan's going to be very spicy. If they've stepped their game up like they did between Sumeru and Fontaine, then you can only hope that the step up between Fontaine and Natlan is going to be even spicier again. I can see that they're obviously trying to push things like Overload, which means that they're trying to build up the pyro reactions ready for Natlan, I believe. You know, get those pyro reactions really popping off. Like, we got Vape, we got Melt. They want Overload to crack on. I think maybe we might see a push on Bergen as well. I feel like there's going to be a character that comes along in the near future that's going to be Bergen focused, just to really cover all bases before we get into Natlan. That would make sense to me, and I would be quite happy with that. I don't mind a bit of Bergen, to be honest. It doesn't get as much screen time as I think it should. Most people just pick Hyper Bloom and just roll with it, don't they? They'll make a character that people will regret not pulling. To be honest, I would have quite liked Klee off the Chronicle banner. Klee is a useful character for if you're playing her with Venti, if you're playing her with Kazuha. Like, you can get a lot of pyro application and that in that way. So I'm down for that. And yeah, Klee's not actually a bad character in my eyes. And the other one would be Eula if I was pulling on the Chronicle banner. Because Eula's... I wouldn't mind it. She does some fun damage. Like, physical is a fun way to play the game. I don't think many people play physical enough. You know, physical builds are just meme builds these days. Like, there's no really physical focused characters, you know, that have come out in all of Sumeru, all of Fontaine thus far. So yeah, I don't believe that that's ever going to change. If they come out of left field and do as a proper full-on physical focused character again at some point, you know, like Eula or whatever, I'd be very surprised. Usually physical characters end up being cryo as well. So if they could manage to do a physical character that was decent but that wasn't cryo, that would be pretty cool. Like maybe an Electro one, I guess. You know, physical Razor is sort of a thing that people have been banging on for a while. Chevy has so stringent in her comp. I love to run Klee, Chevrus, Yaimika, and Kazuha. Okay. Well, Chevrus is a really cool character. I do want to get her built at some point. Get her, you know, together and usable. And we can try her out in a bunch of different ways eventually. But she's a cool character. I think she did well in terms of 4 stars. I noticed there's no new 4 stars in this patch either, which is interesting. We're literally just getting Chiori, which I feel like is a kind of a cop-out. Unless you're Geo and you're literally foaming at the mouth because they haven't put a Geo, like a Geo character out that fits with the old meta since, you know, Ito. Because technically Navia for me doesn't fit with the new meta of Geo. The old meta of Geo, should I say. Yeah, I don't think Navia fits with the old meta of Geo. In terms of she doesn't do constructs. I can't talk. Hang on. Right, she doesn't do constructs. She doesn't. You know. I guess does she work with Goro and stuff like that? That wouldn't be too bad. But she doesn't use like normal attacks. like Ito does, you know, in his ult. So you're not buffing that way and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a bunch of things to be said for it. The fact that she's a mono Geo sub DPS is kind of strange. Kind of a niche character. I mean, if she's Geo, she's already niche. But then, on top of that, she's Geo and she's niche. In terms of Geo, which is just wild. So, yeah. Don't know how I feel about it. It's just going to be... well, we've got plenty of time to do achievement hunting. How about that? Got plenty of time to catch up on all the achievements during 4.5 and catch up on a lot of the other stuff in game that we maybe haven't crossed thus far. And then ready to go into 4.6 and get some new content, some new area, some new exploration, etc. I mean, I guess if you had a banger patch every patch, you wouldn't get these downtime patches where perhaps people might decide, instead of, you know, playing these incredible events every single patch, that they want to maybe go off and try some of the, you know, try some hangouts. They want to try, you know, some achievement hunting, some exploration, some fishing. Anybody want to try some fishing? You know, and maybe dig a bit further into the game's other content that maybe you've overlooked. Because I've overlooked plenty of content, you know, that I still haven't got around to, especially hangouts. So we'll maybe get around to some hangouts in 4.5.